Capitol Report is a production of Senate Media Services.
This week, lawmakers push for dedicated funding for road and bridge projects, more funding for the outdoors, and a new board specializing in companion animals. Plus, highlights from the latest budget forecast. Stay tuned for this and more on this week's Capitol Report. Welcome to this week's program. I'm Shannon Loehrke. The most recent report card from the American Society of Civil Engineers gave Minnesota's bridges the grade of C and its roads a D+. Senator Scott Newman, chair of the Senate Transportation Committee, has been promoting a plan to increase the funding dedicated to road and bridge projects. He joins me in the studio. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're sounding the alarm that Minnesota is facing an enormous future deficit. You said $18 billion about 20 years from now in its ability to fund road and bridge projects. That seems like a big problem. Is it really that big of a problem?
Yes, it's an enormous problem. And if you think about it, break it down on an annual basis, we're talking about $900 million per year that we are falling behind at that rate. And that's just to maintain what we currently have. That doesn't account for any kind of expansion. Minnesota has to pay more attention to its transportation system. And it's not just roads and bridges, it's airports, it's ports, it is railroads, it is transit, and all of those are enormously expensive. But absolutely necessary because every single person in the state of Minnesota benefits from a good transportation infrastructure system.
Your bill, actually there's two bills moving simultaneously. You have one and Senator Jeff Howe has another, but they're very similar. Can you start us off by telling us what your bill would do?
Yeah, what my bill does, and it's really two iterations of the same idea. We take 100% of the auto parts sales tax and divert that tax, that general sales tax, into the Highway User Tax Distribution Fund, from which the money would then be distributed for roads and bridges, etc. And the bill that I am carrying diverts 100% into HUTDF, and Senator Howe's bill is a different iteration of it in that it takes, currently as written, 12% of that auto parts sales tax and diverts it into townships, or I should say dedicates it to townships, and 12% for small cities under 5,000, neither of which, small cities under 5,000 or townships, have any current source of dedicated funding.
And you are in support of Senator Howe's bill as well?
I am. I don't know exactly how it's going to look in the end, but without question I am supportive of that idea and Senator Howe's bill.
So the idea is more dedicated funds for roads and bridges, and then a portion of that for the small cities and townships. There is a notable collection of groups who are in support of these bills: labor, business, cities, construction, trades, groups that often don't agree on things like this. The bills were most recently before the tax committee, and there was no testimony against them. So what are the obstacles to these bills becoming law?
Well, we've gone through two committee hearings now, and in both committee hearings, the bill passed out unanimously. So there is beginning to be a lot of support for this idea of moving this money into the HUTDF. The opposition, or I should say the obstacles is just the way the legislative session or system works. We have to work in the Senate with the House. The House and the Senate have to work with the governor's office. And what I am trying to do is sort of thread that needle and see if I can get this bill passed through the Senate, through the House, and have the governor sign it.
When I first began working for the Senate, there was a lot of discussion about the need for dedicated funding for transportation. And at that time, the conversation focused on the gas tax. You've called the gas tax a dying star. What do you mean?
What I mean by that is the internal combustion engine is becoming more and more efficient, while at the same time electric vehicles are becoming more and more popular. And between those two, it is expected that the gas tax revenue, which represents about 1/3 of the money going into HUTDF, is going to sharply decline. And we have to figure out a way to replace that lost revenue because it's going to be absolutely needed. The other thing I would ask people to keep in mind is that whether you drive a vehicle or not in Minnesota, you benefit from a good transportation system. And under the current system, it is almost entirely supported by user fees. That's the gas tax, license tab fees, and sales tax on automobiles. So those are user fees, and folks who benefit from transportation are not really participating in paying for something that is really, really expensive.
As I understand it, if the bill becomes law, rather than having what is currently going to pay for road and bridge projects, $145 million from the auto parts sales tax, that amount will at least double. As of now, it will be more than $300 million in the next year, and then it will continue to rise over the years as prices increase and everything else. So there will be a greater amount of dedicated funding into the future, but will it be enough?
It will not be. It absolutely will not be. Go back to your first question. $18 billion shortfall over the next 20 or 30 years. $900 million per year shortfall. What we are kicking into HUTDF with this or these proposals begins at $168 million a year. It will grow some, yes, but it will not make up for what is going to be needed in the future. We will need this plus a fair amount of additional general fund money to help support our transportation system, and on average, transportation receives 0.4% of the general fund budget, 0.4%. And with that, we have to support all of the general fund needs of transportation. It simply is not enough.
Now, it makes sense to me that at this point in your legislative career, you're using this moment to call attention as a transportation chair to the problems that you see in the future, because you have announced that you are going to retire from the legislature. You first came to the House in 2003 to 2006, then to the Senate in 2010, knowing that this then is your last legislative session. Do you want this to be your legacy, and how are you thinking differently about this last session?
Well, I'm not thinking about this last session differently from what I have done in previous sessions. I am simply trying to do my job, and I'm going to work as hard as I can for the remainder of this session, and then yes, I am going to retire. I never expected this to be a career. I think elected officials should come and go. And I think new ideas and new folks moving through the legislature is a good idea. It is simply time for me to move on, that's all. And I'm really comfortable with my decision to retire. But again, I'm going to treat this session just like every other session I've ever been in.
Senator Scott Newman, I love when you come on the program. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Bye now.
State budget officials presented the latest economic forecast, projecting a surplus of $9.3 billion for the current biennium.
This forecast today anticipates a $1.5 billion improvement in the forecast for this current biennium. Our budget situation is strong. We're seeing a significant share of the money already in the bank, and we're in much better position to handle risks. The February forecast is normally a pretty simple affair, a light update from the November forecast. However, in the last couple of years, we've seen a different pattern. With a number of changes and on risks out in the economy and in society, February forecast has seen its share of changes. we've seen sometimes it's hard to even anticipate what's going to happen next month, much less next year. The update part of this forecast is good news. We see an additional $1.5 billion, largely one-time money, and that's a significant improvement. Combined changes from the last forecast bring our surplus to more than $9 billion.
What this gives us is an opportunity as Minnesotans to make sure that we're investing in Minnesotans right now. And I'll make my case again. This gives us the opportunity to get those checks right in the hands of folks now. This new number on there, we can triple those, and the numbers that we're looking at is about $500 a person, $1,000 to a couple. That's money right now. That's a difference. It's the one-time money that comes out. We're able to do that, and then we're able to look at those long-term ways to reduce costs. And I think there's a lot of space in here for compromise. You're hearing some of the ideological things. That's exactly appropriate for the legislature, and we do it. I am fully aware that we're going to have to compromise together. The good news is we can compromise on a whole lot of fronts to make life cheaper for Minnesotans, both now and in the future. We can continue to invest in things like education and healthcare, reducing those costs, making them more accessible to folks that improve quality of life, and then continuing to make sure that we're keeping up with our infrastructure through bonding and other things.
We thought $7.7 billion was massive. $9.3 billion surplus is absolutely mind-boggling, and I think today's forecast really strengthens the argument for permanent, ongoing tax relief to working Minnesotans and senior citizens. I don't know how it gets any stronger than what we saw today. The people of Minnesota are being overtaxed. The state of Minnesota is overtaxing the people of the state of Minnesota at a time when they're struggling with record inflation. We know record inflation is affecting all of us. It's eating away at family budgets, and the best way to address that is providing permanent, ongoing tax relief.
If we stand here and don't admit that Minnesotans aren't seeing the same kind of surpluses in their family budgets, we are tone deaf. And I think that's something I would put on the governor. We have absolute record inflation, and Minnesota families are paying more for the things that they buy every day, from milk and groceries to clothing to automobiles to gasoline to get to work. So Minnesotans are feeling the pinch of record inflation, and at this time we've got a record surplus. I think this is the largest surplus in Minnesota state history. Our message to Minnesotans is clear. You should expect us to reduce your taxes permanently.
Today's forecast shows that Minnesota's economy is doing well, at least at the surface level. Corporate profits continue to wildly outpace expectations. Now it is the job of state leaders to address the challenges that people are facing and to ensure that workers and families are benefiting from the economic growth that they are helping to create. Many Minnesotans are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're concerned for their futures. State leaders must be focused on our work to help Minnesotans with everyday costs and with improving their economic security right now. We also need to invest in our communities to better ensure public safety. House Democrats will continue our work on policies that we know will help our workers, our families, and our communities.
We're talking to Minnesotans. There's definitely need around our state to invest and to take this opportunity, this Minnesota moment, and be cautious about what we're doing with these funds, but also take the opportunity to put it to work where it would reap benefits for our entire state, whether that is broadband for all. That is something that we can do and set ourselves up for success, not just in our education systems, but also in our workforce. Whether it's childcare, like was mentioned, we know and we've talked to childcare providers who are at the brink of closure still today because they're still feeling the pandemic strains and challenges. And we haven't done enough to continue to prop that particular area of our sectors, because if we don't do that, people can't go back to work.
Minnesota is a beautiful state with an abundance of lakes, forests, prairies, fish, and wildlife. To that end, 2 decades ago, former state Senator Bob Lassard successfully spearheaded an amendment to Minnesota's Constitution to enshrine hunting and fishing as rights and to provide additional dedicated funding for the outdoors. The funding has dwindled, and Senator Carrie Ruud has a measure to restore it to its original intent. And she now joins me in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us about lottery in lieu of taxes. What is it, and why has the funding level diminished over time?
You know, Bob Lassard was in our committee, and he did a great job testifying. It's so fun to have history in your committee to tell us all that happened. Well, when he passed that constitutional amendment, they had to figure out, well, how do we pay for this wonderful thing that we just put in the Constitution? So they passed the lottery. And the first lottery tickets were sold in 1990. Now, 60% of the lottery funds go to the general fund, and 40% go to the Legislative Commission on Minnesota Resources. And so that fund, they do a tremendous job, and they fund all sorts of wonderful projects. But there's no sales tax on the lottery tickets. So they decided it's called lottery in lieu, so we pretend there's sales tax on the lottery ticket. And that money, that 6.75%, that goes into a special pool. And that goes for the Game and Fish Fund, Parks and Trails, a little bit goes towards the zoo. And so it really funds that piece that we were kind of missing.
And former Senator Lassard, who I did reference, and so did you, he testified on behalf of this bill. As you said, he told the committee that when he was first passing this legislation or attempting to get it passed, he was warned that lawmakers would have a hard time keeping their hands out of the cookie jar. And you referred to the diversion of funds over time as mission creep. So if the fund is fully restored so that all the money goes where it should go and not be diverted to the general fund, is it possible to ensure that no one draws from it again in the future?
I think that's a very good point. Bob Lassard said, don't tinker with the funds. He shook his finger at me, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it, Bob. But I chair the legacy amendment, and it's the same thing there. That is off the sales tax. And I am adamant that money be spent the way the Constitution wants it to. And so it's a fight. And those of us that believe that the people voted for those things in the Constitution, we have to stand strong to make sure that there is not that mission creep, that it's spent for things it wasn't supposed to. And so that's why the funds kind of got diverted, because we had a budget crunch right after that. And it is a pot of money, and it's very tempting, but we have to stop that. And I think that's why this bill is important, because we're going to restore that promise to the people and say, nope, you voted for this is what we said we were going to do. Now's the time to restore that. We have a budget that we can manage this. And so when we had that deficit, we took the money, let's put it back, and let's do what we promised the people we were supposed to do.
Now, you mentioned a moment ago how that money is split up a little to the DNR, some for Metro Parks and Trails, a little bit for the zoo. I'm a transplant to Minnesota, and one of the things that I love is that even here in the metro area, I have access to numerous amazing parks. What does it mean for the people who take care of these parks to have this funding coming to them?
You know, it's really interesting. Over the pandemic, we have loved our parks just to death because people spent time in the outdoors, and they reinvigorated themselves in the parks. And so now we realize that our parks need some help. And so this extra money would help that. And we also realize that our parks aren't always accessible to everyone. And that's very important that we do that. So we need to do some of the basic things like paths, restrooms, make sure that everyone is welcome in those parks. And this extra money will help us do that.
And as everyone in Minnesota likely knows, the state has a sizable surplus right now. Is that part of the reason why you're bringing this legislation now, because the state can afford to restore this funding to this fund?
Yeah, absolutely correct, because when we didn't have the funds, they took the money. So now that we have some extra funds, it's time to pay it back. So I'm excited that, we have just a broad base of stakeholders that just love this bill, and we're at 72% of the money going in, and it should be 97%. And so this would make a really big difference for our parks and trails and our zoos going forward.
Now, I'd like to turn to another topic because I was so sorry that I missed your press conference this week because there were puppies, and who doesn't love to see puppies? You were the chief author of a bill that would establish a companion animal board. What would be the purpose of this board?
Well, we see that the Board of Animal Health, we have actually kept putting more jobs on them and more jobs. So when we addressed the puppy mill issue many years ago, we gave that to them. And now we have CWD, chronic wasting disease in deer, we gave that to them. And so now we have a lot of rescue animals and service dogs, and they take care of that. And so their main mission is to keep Minnesota's food source from disease and make sure that we have good food. That's their mission statement. But now that's agriculture, and pets are not agriculture. And so we think that we really need to have, the board would function underneath the Board of Animal Health. But the Board of Animal Health deals with disease. We would not. We would deal with the care of companion animals. And
COVID-19 certainly has brought an increase of companion animals into people's lives. There are ongoing issues with that, and also animals have become more important to people. And there's kind of a difference now. The co-sponsor, or the sponsor in the House, is Representative Mike Freiberg. He spoke about the unique bond between humans and animals. I think attitudes have changed over time. You're talking about animals for food. This is about animals for pets. But is there a problem down the road when one person's food is another person's pet?
Well, actually, companion animal is actually defined in statute. And it does not, and it specifically precludes agriculture animals. And so there is kind of like a little, if you have a pet chicken, I'm not sure, but that chicken is considered agriculture. It would be under the Board of Animal Health. This is just for, companion animals. And you're right, our attitudes have changed because dogs were working. Dogs were sheepdogs. Dogs worked on the farm. They did all sorts of really working animals. Now they become really pets. We brought them into our homes. You don't see too many dog houses out with a chain anymore because we brought them into our family, into our homes. So absolutely the attitude has changed towards our pets, and the breeds have changed. There's so many different breeds of dogs that you did not see before.
And so this board then would just kind of be a resource then for people and do investigation in potentially if in unsafe environments for companion animals.
We think so. We're bringing a lot of rescue animals into this state. 70% of Minnesotans own a dog. I think 95% think they're part of the family. But Minnesota is a very dog-friendly state, or very companion animal state, and so we really need to take a look at that. And we think that this will take the stress off the board when they have to deal with there's avian flu again in the United States. That's their mission, to make sure we have a solid food source and disease-free food source. CWD is very big with the deer hunters, and so we think that this will just augment their board, and then we can take care of all the wonderful companion animals and make sure that we have healthy animals and our loving pets.
Senator Carrie Ruud, what a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been very fun. Thanks for having me.
A bill that would allow Minnesota to join 39 other states in an interstate nurse licensure compact passed the Finance Committee on a divided vote and is headed to the Senate floor.
The nurse licensure bill, if enacted, it would allow Minnesota to be a member of the Enhanced Nurse Licensure Compact. The Enhanced Nurse Licensure Compact allows for registered nurses and RNs to have one multi-state license and in the primary state of residency, and to practice in other compact states.
We're hearing from nurses, at least I am, where they're practicing next to a nurse who might not have the same training and might be paid 2 or 3 times more during the pandemic. And my concern is that this would exacerbate that in a way, not just because they're trained differently, because one of the claims in the introductory comments, it said it's safe and that it'll keep competitiveness. But if there's difference in wages, I just have concern that this would actually exacerbate an issue of having our state nurses who live in Minnesota, trained in Minnesota, accredited and licensed in Minnesota, being at a disadvantage to those coming from out of state.
The biggest thing I have concern about for patient safety is the way we treat the people we have here. When you're talking about these disparities between traveling nurses and everything else, I've talked to so many nurses who are leaving early. I mean, I saw one of the letters talked about how we have a third more nurses per capita than other states do. We got more nurses, but they're not practicing because they're tired of the double shifts, forced double shifts. They're tired of not getting their breaks.
The bottom line is this is good for patients. It's good for patient care. It's good for nurses. Nurses want this. The regulatory bodies want to participate.
And the Senate Finance Committee weighed providing employee bonuses to workers in nursing homes and assisted living facilities.
We have all heard of the dire emergency that our long-term care facilities and group homes are in the state. We each have one in our district. We have seniors living amongst us, and we have heard over the course of the last couple of years in COVID that people are leaving the field. It was really, really a tough couple of years for these folks, and they can make more money working at McDonald's or other part-time jobs that they're leaving the industry. And we had this bill in the other committee, and we did a press conference, and one of the testifiers said, we all got up this morning and we were able to get ourselves out of bed, shower, get ourselves dressed, but at this time, 8:30 on Thursday morning, there are still some folks that are in their bed waiting for somebody to show up to help them get out of bed, and many times they just don't show up. So it's been extremely hard on the caregivers in this arena, and Senator Abler and I put together a long-term care rescue package. This doesn't solve the problem, but this is just a Band-Aid in this emergency situation, because we've heard of long-term care facilities that are closing throughout the state, especially in greater Minnesota, due to staffing.
The pandemic took systems that we had in our society that were held together with Band-Aids and staples and paper clips, because we were not addressing them adequately way before anybody thought about a pandemic. And it blew it up. And it broke childcare, it broke issues in our schools, it has broken all kinds of caregiving, and that's just the short list. Now, I am all for incentives. I love the training and the recruitment. Let's give people, let's remove any barrier for anybody who wants to work in these important, critical fields. And let's do this, and let's do this with urgency. But Senator Housley, you said this is a Band-Aid for an emergency situation. You're right, this is a Band-Aid.
Again next week as we delve into more topics affecting Minnesotans. I'm Shannon Loehrke, and on behalf of all of us at Senate Media Services, thanks for watching.